Hi there guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be showing you my Casio collection, which comprises of digital, analog and full analog watches. So I've got a few pieces to show you today which I'm very excited about. Quick wristwatch check, I'm wearing my Phoebus Wavemaster, which is the only thing I'm wearing at the moment. I'm just really enjoying it at the moment. Yeah, it's had a bit of a comeback in my collection. But without any further ado, let's get into the actual video itself. Okay guys, let's get into the actual watches themselves. Now my Casio collection consists of 5 watches currently, 2 of them being purely digital, 2 of them being analog, and this one here which you can see being just analog. Now I'm going to start with possibly the most famous and iconic Casio of all time, and that is the F91W. Now this one is slightly different. As you can see, it's still got the black resin band, however it does have a gold face because I thought that it was a bit quirkier than the traditional black and green version, and it had a bit more character to it. Now I'm assuming most of you guys know quite a lot about this watch. However, if you don't, I'll just give you a few specs very quickly. So it's a very thin watch. It is 9mm, so there's barely anything to it at all. It's got a case diameter of 31mm, and it is 21 grams in weight, so it basically weighs nothing on the wrist. As you can see, it's got a resin band, which means it's extremely pliable and it is very comfortable. And you can see here it is a stainless steel back, and it's water resistant, which essentially means it's splash proof. But people have gone swimming with this and it's been absolutely fine. But yeah, just be careful with that. The actual strap itself is 20mm in terms of width, and you can actually mod this watch to put on different straps, because this isn't actually built to take anything else, but you can still do that. I haven't done it myself, just because I personally quite like this look. Now in terms of the features of this watch, it has got a backlight, which you can't really see, but you can probably just about see on the left. You've got a bit of a green light popping up. It's not the best light. It only really illuminates the left hand side of the screen, but that does have the key information in terms of the actual hour and minute, so I guess that's okay. In terms of different modes, obviously we've got the actual time telling mode, and as you can see there, it is an alarm and a chronograph as well. So to use that, we click this button down here. One click takes us to the alarm, where we can then click this button on the right to say whether we want it on or not. Then we click it again, and we have got the stopwatch. So click there to start it, click to pause it, then you click up here to restart it. So it is a very useful tool for an everyday piece. If you're cooking an egg, it's very easy just to quickly time something. So yeah, it's got 2 of probably the key features that you'd want on a Casio. So whilst it is very limited in functionality, for the price of this watch, which is normally about £15, and this is the more expensive version because it's gold, you can get the F91, the standard one, for about a tenner. So they're so cheap. And the batteries tend to last quite a few years, and then the batteries cost a couple of quid. You can take this off yourself and put it on. So yeah, it's a really cool piece, and it's sort of the quintessential digital Casio watch, and it's very iconic. I'm going to pop it on wrist just to show you guys what it looks like. Go. And so as you can see, it wears extremely well because it's such a small timepiece. But yeah, very thin on the wrist. I've worn this on several holidays, which is where you can see a few nicks at the top of the actual bezel. But I've got a lot of great memories associated with this watch because I can wear it in any setting and not worry about it getting damaged, because first off, it's a vintage style digital watch, so it actually look better when it's been aged a bit, but also it's obviously so affordable that if I was to break this, it's so easy to replace. So this is a really cool piece, and yeah, as I said, I think it is really the quintessential Casio watch, and I just absolutely love all this retro text and layout. I think that's really cool. So my next 2 Casios are the Anidigis, and now these are really cool pieces, and I'll consider these to be more of a sort of summer watch. So I've got an entirely gold Casio here. And I should just mention as well, these will all be linked in the description below, sorry, on Amazon. So if you fancy having a look at these guys, you can go onto Amazon and they're all readily available wherever you are in the world. And now these are the AQ230s. Slightly different, obviously, because of their colour being different, but they are in essence the exact same watch, just obviously with a different finish and a very slightly different colour on the face. We'll have a look at the stainless steel silver one. So as you can see here, it's a very simple face. You've just got two hands, but then you've got the digital at the bottom. So what's cool about this watch is you can technically track 2 time zones on it, because you can have the hands independently set from the actual digital, which is pretty cool. And to move the hands, you just push this little button on the right. So they are independent. So that's probably the cheapest GMT watch on the market, because this watch is a bit more expensive than the F91. It's about £30. But that is because you have also got this rolled stainless bracelet. And in terms of functionality as well, it's very similar to the F91. It's pretty limited. So we've got an alarm and we've got a stopwatch. Obviously, it's a bit more complicated than the F91 because it has got the anti-digi. And again, it's extremely light. It's 44 grams, 9mm thick, and it is a bit smaller this time. It's about 15mm lug, and in terms of the actual case diameter, it is about 28mm, so it is quite a small piece, this. And I think this is a really interesting piece because it's obviously very casual digital Casio, but it is slightly dressier because of this actual dial. And as you can see, it's all printed, but you have actually got an applied baton at the 12, which I think is pretty cool. And again, that's the exact same on the gold, but this is a bit flashier. And I think it's just a really fun piece. I mean, for me personally, it's nice to have something gold in my collection. But to be honest, I'm not that flashy in terms of the way that I dress, so it's nice to have this as a very affordable piece with the gold. But yeah, not too expensive, and just a bit of fun really. And these are infinitely adjustable, these straps. All you need to do is get like a screwdriver or a pen and lift this flap up, and you can move it up and down the watch, so it's infinitely adjustable on the actual strap. So as it says, stainless steel strap, plastic case. These are rolled links, so they can nip the hairs on your arm. For me, I don't think it's actually as bad as I thought it would be, to be completely honest. And again, I'll just quickly pop this on wrist, just to show you guys what this looks like. Go. As you can probably hear, it's quite a jangly bracelet, but when it's on wrist, it feels pretty solid, to be fair. Go. There we are, so you can see that here. You can see it's got a very, very slim profile on the wrist. I think it's just a really cool looking piece. I think it's a bit different from your standard Casios, the fact that it's anti-digi. It's a conversation starter because it's a very unique looking piece, and I think it's a really cool piece to get in both gold and silver. I don't normally buy the same watch twice, but I think for these pieces they feel so unique in their different finishes and tones that it was worth getting both, so I'm really happy with these. Okay, so we'll move on to the Casios back here. So I'm actually going to start with this Casio Torro Rosso. Now I actually received this piece for my, I believe it was my 19th or 20th birthday, so this piece means a lot to me. It's not currently ticking at the moment. The battery has died in it, so I need to order a new battery. Just standard screw down case, so I'll be able to replace it myself quite easily. But normally, as you can see, it's a chronograph. It's quite a big piece actually, and as you can see, it's been very, very well worn, and you can see there's some actual sort of chips on the bezel as well, because I wear my watches. I don't like babying things, to be honest. So as you can see here, it's a chronograph. The actual chronograph is, for measuring seconds, sorry, is actually the subdial here. So this actual second hands tracks time normally. And as you can see here, you've got a 24-hour bezel there, and that's a 30-minute timer there, so you can time up to 30 minutes on this piece. You've got a push-pull crown, but it is nicely signed with the edifice logo. And then these crowns don't screw down, obviously, there's little push buttons. No real response from them, but they're absolutely fine. And what I love most about this piece is the actual colour scheme. Just the rose gold and this, I don't really know how to describe this blue, but it's very metallic blue. I think it's absolutely awesome. And then you've got this red on the dial, which is extremely striking. Torro Rosso, which is a Red Bull, I believe they're a junior team. So that's pretty cool. And I think Max Verstappen was actually part of this team when I got this watch. That's pretty cool as well, because obviously he's one of F1's best drivers. And as you can see on the case back, we've got Torro Rosso again. Japanese movement, quartz movement, obviously cased in China. Now this is easily the biggest watch in my collection. It's roughly about 44 millimeters, and it has got an integrated bracelet as well. So it does wear pretty big. And to be honest, if I was getting this watch today, I probably wouldn't buy it because I would say it was too big for me. But now that it's in my collection, I do really love the watch, and I think it's something completely different to anything else that I have. I think it's really cool. Now I mentioned that the bracelet is integrated, and I think this bracelet is just about good enough to get away with it. Press clasp, just standard press deployment. You have got quite a few lug holes. Lug holes, adjustments, so you can get a very comfortable fit. And as you can see, it is a solid bracelet. And in terms of the actual bracelet, I think it's a really cool design. It almost looks like something that you'd get on a really expensive high-end sports watch, like a Nautilus or something like that. I think it's a really, really cool bracelet. And again, I think it's got really cool branding. It means a lot to me because it was a gift, and I will never get rid of this piece, even if it isn't something that I wear regularly. I do still think it's a really cool watch. So the last, but certainly not least, in my collection is the Casio GShock, and this is the sort of cousin of the DW. It's the GW 5610, and now this is a solar and multiband 6 variant of the DW. And if you don't know much about this watch, this is actually based off the first G-Shock that was ever released back in the 80s. And if you saw my last video where I did an overview of the book A Man and His Watch, I actually covered this piece in that book. Well, sorry, I didn't cover that piece, but someone that the creator did, and I also sort of compared it against my Casio. So if you haven't seen that, check that out after this video, because it's quite cool to see the original versus this sort of reissue that I've got. Now in terms of the specs, it is a mineral crystal, which is good for me personally, because tall watch, something that I wear regardless of job, mineral will scratch and it won't crack like sapphire, so I think that's personally better. 43mm case, wears a lot smaller, fantastic in terms of the way that it's actually wears. About a 23 lug width, but again, people have actually modded these pieces, because as you can see, you can actually get those spring bars. I think you do need to buy a sort of conversion kit to actually be able to do that. And in terms of the actual weight, it's about 52 grams, so again, incredibly light due to this resin case and band. And it is 200 meters water resistant, which is absolutely awesome. So as I mentioned, it is resin. You've got a stainless steel back to stop any skin irritation, and it is a very comfortable piece. And then obviously, as I mentioned, mineral crystal on the front. Quite an interesting band actually. It's like this, with these sort of rivets, because if you were to drop it, it will bounce. And that's just one of the safety features, one of the many safety features in this watch. The movement actually floats, I believe, so that if you were to drop it, it is protected and it will bounce inside the sort of container that it's in and keep it safe. And as you can see, these pushers here are recessed, meaning that it keeps 200 meters of water resistance, and you'd have to click them sort of with your nail to be able to really push them, which has been a major complaint for this watch, but I personally don't find it to be a problem at all, and I can actually do it with my finger and not necessarily have to use my nails, which, yeah, is absolutely fine. The case back's pretty cool, gives you a bit of a spec list, so multiband 6, which is essentially in 6 different time zones. If you go there, the watch will automatically connect to a radio signal and adjust the time to be correct. Obviously, this isn't everywhere in the world, and it's a good feature. It's not why I bought the watch, but it's pretty useful. Tough solar. So as you can see at the bottom right, you got low, medium, high. So the fact that that little bar there is on high shows that my watch is fully charged with solar, and it doesn't take long. I think I left it on windowsill for a couple of days when I first got it, and also wore it to work, and within a couple of days it was fully charged. It's been that way ever since for a few months. So yeah, shock absorbing structure, as I sort of touched upon. 200 meters water resistance. It's made in, is that Thailand? Yep. But with a Japanese movement, and as you can see, you've got the little G on the back. It's actually very nicely done. So you shouldn't ever actually have to open this watch up, which is pretty cool. In terms of the actual features, we're going from the other guys, which didn't have the largest amount of functionality, whereas this one does have a little bit more. So if we click into mode here, so we've got the different world times. That's where I can set what time zone I want to be in. We've got the alarms, and there are several alarms. I can't remember how many alarms actually are, but let's just cycle through. So there are 4 alarms, which is pretty cool. And I've just accidentally turned that on. Just turn that off. We've got a stopwatch again. Got this one here, which is that a countdown timer? Yeah, I think it is. And there we go, and we're back to the normal actual clock. So it is also day and day dates. It only shows in the American format. So today it doesn't matter because it's the 7th of July, so it's 7/7 everywhere. But for example, tomorrow it would show it in the American format, which does take a little bit of time to get used to, but it doesn't really matter at all. And again, what I love most about this piece is the actual face, this retro colour scheme. I think it's just absolutely awesome. The use of colour, I love the blue, water resistant 20 bar text. I think it's a really, really cool piece. It's got great legibility. The actual light is a lot better. As you can see, the whole thing flashes this sort of light blue, and it's a lot better than the lights on anything else. But to be fair, this is a more expensive watch. It is normally about £80 or £90. But to be honest, this is a piece which will outlast you. You can use this for absolutely anything, and it is, in my opinion, the ultimate beta watch. As you can see, I've used this for all sorts of things for sort of several months. It's been about 7 months actually since I got this watch, and as you can see, really the only damage to it is this little scrape here, which, I mean, considering I've done workouts in this, timed runs, done sports, done sort of more hardware-y stuff. Yeah, to only have that amount of damage on it is absolutely incredible. And again, I'll leave this link in the description because I think this is an absolutely amazing watch. So yeah, that is my Casio collection. Just the 5 pieces at the moment, and I think for me, Casio is quite an interesting brand. I think I kind of see the digital side, so particularly these 3 watches here. Actually, and I would include my GShock as well as actually being outside of my normal collection, purely because they're a completely different side to Horology for me. I appreciate they're still wristwatches, but in terms of the way that they tell time, the functionality, the performance, the price, I just feel that they're completely different. So I would never sell these 3 watches. And if someone asked me how many watches I own, to be honest, I probably wouldn't think about including these 3. Because they don't sit in my normal watch box, they sit in this watch roll here. So I think that, yeah, I think that's quite an interest for me, is the fact that I kind of separate them from my normal collection. I do have plans to add more Casios to my collection. Some of the quartz diver Casios, which are about £20, I think are really cool, and I would definitely consider one of those. I'm also just quite interested in the Casios which have the look of a G-Shock, but are only about £25, £26. I'll be interested in comparing how tough they are actually against my G-Shock. So I'd be interested to do some almost torture tests to them. which I might do that. That'd be quite an interesting, quite a funny video actually. So I might actually look into that as well. There's some other Casios full stop that I'm quite interested in. There's, I can't remember the actual name, but it's got sapphire crystal. It kind of has an aquaterra look to it, so I might have a quick look into that as well. But yeah, if I do move on to that watch tool, I'll make sure to make a video for it. But with all that said and done, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know about your Casio collection. Do you like collecting digital watches? Do you consider them to be part of your main collection, or you like me where you have them slightly separate because they just have a different feeling to them? And yeah, please remember to share your thoughts down below, and I will catch you in the next one.